What's good, Joe? I've got some huge buffs for my boy Machamp. As always, though, I want to have a quick disclaimer for anybody who's new here or who has yet to do so to check out that Google Sheet. It's linked right in the description. It's very detailed. It's not your average run-of-the-mill ROM hack, as you can probably already kind of tell just by looking at this screen. But of course, the most important reason I'm telling you to go to the Google Sheet is to look at all 600 plus move buffs and changes. I've reworked pretty much every single move in the game. There are dozens of new categories of moves, new priority moves, crit moves, Draco Meteor type moves, recoil moves, multi-hit moves, attacks that drop stats, healing moves, moves that drop boost your stats, and a million other moves, buffs, and changes. I organized them into a million different categories, as you can see on screen right now. And if you click this, it'll take you to all the moves sections and stuff. But honestly, I would, if you're like completely new here, I would recommend just scrolling and just going as you go, because I also ordered it, so like it makes sense when you're looking at it. But yeah, very, very important. Move buffs and changes, give those a look if you've yet to do so. You can bookmark the Google Sheet, that's a good idea, especially if this type of thing interests you. And lastly, I will say, if you are not subscribed and you're watching my videos, or you think this type of thing is interesting, or this hack is appealing to you, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that a lot. With that being said, though, Machamp, some big buffs. He does have 150 base attack, but he doesn't have any boosting abilities. And in a ROM hack like this, while that's, he's still very, very strong, there are a million things that are much stronger than Machamp. He also only has singular stab, and his speed is still pretty mediocre, although 70 base speed is much more usable with the Choice Scarf, for example, which is pretty nice. And he has a million priority moves in the form of Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, Sucker Punch, and First Impression. The latter two are much widely, actually all of those are widely distributed in this hack, but especially Sucker Punch and First Impression since they're DMs. And those are all great from Machamp. It helps him deal damage quickly without having to worry about his lower speed stat. He's also very tanky, 95, 185, great with an Assault Vest, great with a million other items. And Machoke is also viable, especially with an Annihilate past level 36, which is why he evolves with the Fighting Gem, so you're not bombarded by him trying to evolve every level. I'm a bit biased. I think I just prefer Machoke's design. I'm not gonna lie. But basically, you're trading Scrappy for No Guard. No Guard is useless up until late game. Maybe like mid game actually. Once you get Sky Uppercut, which is only 5% chance to miss, 100 base power, and then you have Gunk Shot, which is 110 base power, 90% accurate, and then Headbutt and Health Thrust, which are the same as Sky Uppercut, and then Blaze Kick, which is 95 base power, 95% accurate, and Rock Slide, which is the same as Blaze Kick. Those are like your main uses of No Guard for most of like Ula Ula Island. And no Guard is completely useless until Ula Ula, but you won't be evolving until then. So those are all your No Guard moves for earlier on, and then later you get really good stuff. So Dynamic Punch no longer exists. That was repurposed from Knockout Punch. So Knockout Punch is a 130 base power move, so stronger than Dynamic Punch, 80% accurate, so more accurate than Dynamic Punch, and instead of making the opponent confused, which is kind of shitty anyways, especially in Gen 7 where confusion's only a 1 in 3 chance, it makes the opponent drowsy. So yeah, Knockout Punch, pretty broken move, very fun move. Normally it's not that worth it, especially in a hardcore Nuzlocke, because of how inaccurate it is, because most moves in this hack are like 95, most moves are 100, right? And there's a whole list of inaccurate moves. In fact, you can check them out here. If you click No Guard, I have to update that, hold on. There's another No Guard guide earlier, hold on. I know I updated it earlier. Yeah, I just gotta copy paste this. The range sometimes gets fucked up. You just quickly... No, don't type Machamp into Red, it's his fucking ability. Come on, dude. There we go. Make that fighting type. And I'll actually just talk about No Guard while I fix the other guys on this sheet, because I know I fixed it on the other one already. Pretty sure. Because there's two sheets split up now, because it was so big that I had to change it. He's probably not going to keep No Guard. Alright, I'm just going to do this fucking later. Machamp, though, very strong. Machoke, also really strong, and actually bulkier than Machamp. However, he does have to hold out a Violite to be bulkier than Machamp, or worth using over Machamp. And of course, Hold Out and Freedom is pretty important in a ROM hack like this. Scrappy is also kind of useless in-game for the most part, because you can always just teach a coverage move when you need to hit a Ghost type. It's not like competitive singles where, the opponent will send in a Ghost type to check your fighting type move, or to, switch in on it. And therefore, Scrappy is great because it means that very little things switch into your fighting type moves. But in game, it's useless. You can just fucking teach a Dark type move. You have a million via TM too. So, like, what's the point? It's just a bad ability in game. It's not absolutely useless. Like, it's useful for dual type Ghost types that are weak to fighting. Like, I don't know if you needed to hit a Coppergregas or an Aegis Slash or something. I don't know, Sableye or something like that. Where they're like, their secondary typing is weak to fighting, but it's very situational. So the main use of those guys is Defiant. Not that Scrappy's useless. Like, it's useful. It has its uses. It's for Ghost type trainers, it's maybe useful if you want to get a Mach Punch going off or something. But you also just have Sucker Punch, so yeah, not a great ability. It's usable and it's solid and it has its uses, but it's meh. Better for the AI to abuse against you, though, because then you can't switch it on their fighting type moves as easily. Defiant, however, is very good in this hack, especially early game, because of all the new stat dropping moves. So like I said earlier, lots of moves are buffed and reworked. Intimidate is a very common ability. Parting Shot is on like pretty much everything. And then there's all of these moves that will always drop the opponent's stats. There's like dozens of them, as you can see here. So switch on any of those and you get +2 attack. And then of course there's also stat dropping moves that are like regular old moves right here. Tons of these as well. A lot of them are very good, like Battle Cry and a bunch of others. However, Defiant is not as great late game because the AI can't abuse stat dropping moves as well as the player can, because the player can switch out while the AI cannot without switch moves. The only real easy ways to get Defiant boosts late game would be like Battle Cry, Parting Shot, and Intimidate, which is a lot less common, a lot less use worth an ability slot than early game when there's a million debuffing moves running around literally all over the place, which is why Defiant is great for early game. Not that it's bad on Machamp. Also, his base attacks that makes up for the fact that his abilities are kind of so like I was saying earlier, Knockout Punch is a great no-guard move. Also, this range works now, so I can actually click on it. But as you see here on screen, it links to a little sheet where I show all of the inaccurate moves. If this would load, please. That would be awesome. Most moves you have are above 90% accuracy besides Knockout Punch, which is 80%. Everything else is 90% or above. Megaton Kick, late game TM, very strong, 120 base power. You've got Storm Throw by level up, which is essentially fighting type Wicked Blow, very strong. Stone Edge, same thing, very strong, 120 base power, both of those with the crit effect. That's really about it. You get Gunk Shot, and then all the other ones I listed earlier. So yeah, not the greatest ability, especially when Wide Lens is buffed. You can just slap on a Wide Lens on most Pokemon, but on a slower guy, No-Guard, on a faster guy, No-Guard is usually better. What am I saying? I don't know, it's still a cool ability, and it's also pretty soulful for Machamp to have it, and that's also why I made his stats so, like, at face value crazy, because his abilities are not as great as some of the other pure fighting types who have boosting abilities and stuff, or like more defensive abilities. His abilities are not really the main star of the show here. It's mostly just the stats and the move pool with the priority moves and the bulk and the recovery move and timeout, which is a fighting type version of recover. It also technically heals your ally, but that shouldn't be too much of a factor for most boss fights, although it is cool. It's actually useful for certain fights for sure to heal your ally with timeout. Otherwise, though, he's just got tons of great coverage moves. I did give Dragon Dance as a little bit of a reference to the fact that for like 0.5 seconds, I considered Machamp to be fighting Dragon, which obviously is very stupid, but like he is vaguely reptilian, and I do give Dragon Dance to anything that is vaguely reptilian for the most part. And Machamp, I think, especially Machoke, fits that bill. And I just think it's a cool move, and it, for late game, and it's literally the last TM you get, so it's nothing too crazy at all. But yeah, that'll work great. Assault Vest, great. Parting Shot, bulkier sets, great. You've got all types of really fun things you can do with Machamp. Meditate gives you +1 Spadette, +1 attack. You've got Superpower, which is 150 base power, -2 physical attack. Very, very good move for early on, especially because that's level 48 is in time for Nanu and the Grand Trial and all of the Aether Foundation and stuff. Otherwise, I could talk about a few more things, but I think I'll leave it off there. I trust that you can check out that Google Sheet and look at all the other move buffs and changes to see what these moves can now do. Did he really not get Drain Punch? That does not sound right to me. No way, right? There's plus there. I mean, I did these months ago. I'm basically just going through all the guys and reworking them and updating them with the newer changes, but like I did it months ago, so I don't remember if this is a new move or not. Jesus Christ, I didn't get Drain Punch. That's so weird. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening. I'll be back for more videos coming up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment. Appreciate you listening this far in. Peace, y'all.